In this video, we will discuss one of the simplest methods businesses use to allocate indirect costs to products. It is called the single plant-wide rate. This method selects one allocation base and uses the same base to allocate overhead costs to all units. Because assigning costs to products can be a challenging task, companies divide and classify production costs into two categories: assigned costs and allocated costs. Direct materials and direct labor fall into the assigned cost category because they can be conveniently traced to products. To illustrate, let's consider my daughter's entrepreneur's business, Sarah's Sweet and Surly Bakery. The primary products for this bakery are cupcakes and birthday cakes. Sarah follows a recipe which clearly states the amounts of each ingredient per batch of cupcake and standard birthday cakes. Therefore, the direct materials cost can be easily assigned to each product. In addition, direct labor costs can be calculated without effort due to the fact that Sarah's Sweet and Swirly Bakery has only one employee, and she pays herself $10 an hour. On the other hand, the bakery has additional costs that cannot be calculated and assigned as simply to each unit. These costs are called manufacturing overhead and include rent, utilities, insurance, depreciation of equipment, and taxes. As a result, manufacturing overhead costs are allocated. To better understand this cost allocation process, the bakery has compiled the following information based on its production expectations for the next month. Since this is a small business, the bakery expects to sell 288 cupcakes and 8 birthday cakes during the next 4 weekends. As shown in this table, the direct materials cost per unit, the direct labor cost per unit, and the total manufacturing overhead costs have been calculated and provided by the bakery. But how do we allocate the total manufacturing overhead cost of $200 to each individual unit? The answer is by using direct labor cost as the allocation base. As mentioned before, we know that Sarah spends an hour and 30 minutes finishing a dozen of cupcakes, which equals $1.25 per cupcake in direct labor costs, while the labor cost of a birthday cake is $20. This is 2 hours of direct labor cost times $10 per hour of direct labor cost. The following table shows the calculation for the total allocation base per number of units expected to be produced. With these amounts, we can now calculate the predetermined overhead allocation rate, which is expressed in percentages as follows. Determined overhead allocation rate equals total estimated overhead costs divided by total estimated quantity of the overhead allocation base. Substituting the amounts, we have $200 divided by $520, which was our total allocation base, equals 38% of direct labor costs. Next, we need to multiply the predetermined overhead allocation rate by the actual quantity of the allocation base used, which for this example, we are using the estimated direct labor hours as the actual quantity, as shown here. Now we need to divide each product's manufacturing overhead costs by the expected number of units to calculate the manufacturing overhead cost per unit, as shown in this table. Finally, we can add the manufacturing overhead unit cost to the direct materials unit cost and the direct labor unit cost to obtain the total unit cost. The single plant-wide rate method of allocating cost is simple, but it may not be accurate for all other businesses. First, you need to determine if there is a relationship between labor cost and overhead cost. If this is true, then single plant-wide rate using direct labor cost as the allocating base is recommended. Therefore, it is important to evaluate and determine each business's needs and understand the operation of the business in order to apply the correct allocation method. This is Sandra Vasquez. Thank you for watching.